What makes blue light so dangerous is that it's going to suppress melatonin. And we need an abundant amount of melatonin in the brain to be released in order to send the signal to the brain that we need to switch to sleep mode. And so we need to be cognizant of how much light we're getting in that 90 minutes, but also what is the hue of that light? Is it bright white, which is going to have more of the blue light spectrum? What kind of bulb are you even using can make a big difference. Some bulbs have way more blue light. And so dimming the lights, having a more yellow or red hue is ideal, and limiting the stimuli. So whether that stimuli, in addition to light, could be activity, physical activity. We need to slow down, and then doing something that can be relaxing for yourself, the mind, and that can vary person to person. So it's important to identify what that might be for you, and ideally, it's be outside of electronics.
Okay, so you made that connection there between light and melatonin. How much light does it take to ruin that production?
Not much, actually. Just as little as 100 lux. Okay. Now, just to give you an idea, if I'm out on a bright sunny day, how many am I getting? Probably about 100,000 lux. And if I'm by a window indoors, even on a cloudy day, it can be a 10,000 lux. Okay. So as little as just 100, a fraction of that could be enough to suppress the release of melatonin.
While we're on the topic of melatonin, what do you think about supplementing with that?
So it's very commonly done. Melatonin actually doesn't function too well as a sleep supplement. You see, melatonin's job is not necessarily to induce sleep. Its job is to communicate timing of sleep to the brain. And so that's why if someone's just taking melatonin and expecting it to induce sleep like a sleeping pill, they may often find that it just doesn't work that way. Um, its job is to time the circadian rhythm, which is that internal clock within our brain, and cue it so that clock is firing at the same time at predictable moments throughout that 24-hour period.
So what would you say would be a good use of it as a supplement and then a bad use?
A great use, I do it personally, would be to treat jet lag, right? Because I'm crossing different time zones now. My brain is trying to figure out what time is it actually. And so if you then took that melatonin about 2 hours before bed, or even 4 hours before bed, that brain is going to determine what time it is, and it can make a huge difference, especially when you're crossing more than 3 time zones.
Okay, so somebody that's going to use it as a tool when they're traveling, how much?
Small doses. I'm seeing individuals are using entirely way too high of doses. I'm seeing doses 10 milligrams, 20 milligrams. And the studies on melatonin were actually done at just very low, zero point 0.3, 0.5. That's all it takes to entrain that circadian rhythm and set the clock. And so actually higher doses above 5 milligrams can actually worsen sleep quality and worsen the brain's ability to determine what time it is. So if you do choose to take melatonin, I would say low doses, zero point 0.5 to 3 would be my maximum dose.
And for somebody using that again as a tool periodically, any question whether or not that can suppress our own production?
It can. Melatonin is a hormone. And it's important because it's going to behave just like any other hormone within the body. So, for example, if I'm taking exogenous cortisol, okay, meaning just say injecting cortisol every day, my adrenal glands are going to suppress its own production of that cortisol through a negative feedback loop. Likewise, if my pineal gland, which is what's storing and releasing the melatonin, if it's seeing that there's enough melatonin already out there because I keep taking it orally, it will reduce its production because it doesn't need to produce the melatonin. It's already there. And that's not ideal because now when you try to fall asleep independently of melatonin, there's not enough in the brain, and therefore sleep is going to be harder to achieve for that night.
When it comes to light impacting melatonin, our own production in a negative way, is it only light through the eyes, or do we need to be protective of the skin as well?
The main one is through the eyes because there's a pathway straight from your retina. It goes straight to the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which is that internal clock location within the brain. And that one is by far the most potent.
What are your thoughts on blue light blocking glasses? You mentioned changing the lighting in the house, but if somebody's in a situation where they can't do that, do the glasses have any benefit?
So I have a lot of patients who have to work on their computer. They have to work late at night. And so blue light blocking glasses absolutely can help in those individuals. Because now when they put the glasses on, those blue lights getting blocked, of course. I want to caution here. There's different types of blue light blocking glasses. We see some that have the clear look and some have that red tint. The red tint really is superior. It tends to block up to 10 times more of that blue light than the clear one. So I would purchase one of those and then use it, especially if you're working on your computer within 90 minutes of your intended bedtime. Definitely helps.
What about on the other end of the spectrum, getting enough good light during the day, specifically in the morning, and then what that looks like?
So there's a term I want everyone to be familiar with. It's called Zeitgeber. Okay, German-derived word. And a Zeitgeber is basically something that's going to cue the brain that this is a time I'm supposed to be awake. And so light is by far the most potent Zeitgeber. And the timing, if you want your brain to know 7 a.m. is a time I should be wide awake, then bright light exposure at 7 a.m. absolutely would be the way to go. And it doesn't take too much time. You don't have to go outside and spend an hour. Even as little as just 10 minutes in the sun can be enough to entrain that circadian rhythm and get you wide awake.
For somebody that's on a different schedule, say they're leaving the house in the morning really early before it's light, what do you think about these lights that you can get in the house to replicate, at least somewhat, what you'd get from outside?
Those light boxes, they can emit about 10,000 lux. Now that's quite a lot because remember, it only takes 100 to have a significant effect. So they absolutely do work, especially like individuals in the winter when it's, of course, very dark. Light boxes, they do work. Even just turning on your lights in your home bright in the kitchen. Kitchen is always one of the brightest parts of the home. So wake up, just turn those lights on. Use your dimmers in the evening, not in the morning.
Since you made it to the end of this clip, I know you're going to love the full episode. Click here to watch. I'll see you over there.
This is an alarming study. If you take a group of individuals and you limit them to less than 6 hours of sleep, and you were to check